Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the CO2 rocket build. We're going to move on to the body and fins. If you look at the PDF, I have kind of 2 different methods for going about it. One's with designing the body first and making another separate piece for the fins. In this tutorial, I'm just going to show how to make the body fin combo, and if you want to go and make them separate pieces, you should probably be able to figure it out based on what I'll give you in this tutorial. So again, we're going to start by making a sketch again, because I'm going to probably end up doing a revolve. I think I'll probably start with the front plane. Let me show you how to make a tube first, I guess. I'm going to start with the top plane for that. And making tubes is relatively simple. If you just want to build a stuffed CO2 canister inside, you just select circle, just make 2 circles, make a donut, more or less. I think if you go to Smart Dimension, the OD is 0.8, I think, and I believe the ID is 0.73. Let me check that to be sure. Yeah, so following this, you can just go to Features, Extrude. You can set, whatever distance you want here, and then ta-da, you have a tube. But for what we're doing, I don't really need this right now, so that's just how you do it. So going back to the other version, I think I said I want to start with the front plane. Let's just go with the front plane. In case you don't know how to get these things, if you use the middle button on your mouse, you're able to rotate things. So if I were to draw a line, for instance, and I wanted to rotate this, that's how that works. If you want to get this giant square thing, that's helpful. This will be important later when we're doing mating pieces, but if you want to get this box, you just click spacebar, and you click on a face to get your face. So for the fin body combo, I plan to do a revolve, because it's just build half the part and go from there. So I'm going to start with the center line again. Just imagine it looking something like this, more or less. So I'm going to start by getting the overall length. I don't know what I have on here. I think it's like 4.5 inches, more or less, in the tutorial. Now we're going to kind of work off of this. So again, I'm going to start by drawing the outline. Let's do something like this. I'm going to go ahead and make this piece and this piece here. Just control to double click them. I'm going to make them construction lines because we're going to end up closing it later. And now we're going to start dimensioning. So probably going to start with the diameter. So I'm going to start by clicking on this line and the center line. And remember to drag it over here. And it's 0.8. That's the constraint that we have. I'm going to drag this over. Next thing I did, I think I made some little arc at the bottom. We'll just disregard that for now. Going by the manual, this piece here was just 2 inches long. This piece here was 2.6. That doesn't really make sense. It's going to exceed the dimension. We're just going to disregard that. I'm going to make this 2.2. These dimensions are up to you anyways, so go at it with whatever you want. And now we're going to want to set do this dimension here. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Let me check. This is where basically the CO2 cartridge is going to insert into, so you're going to kind of want it to constrain to the primary head. So it looks like the radius is 0.8. So I think about 0.4 should work, because it'll give it some wiggle room as well when you're doing the 3D printing. They don't print true to scale. Usually you make your prints, depending on what you're doing, plus or minus 0.2 millimeters. If you're fitting something, you either make the hole bigger at 0.2, or if you want something to insert, you need to make that insert 0.2 millimeters smaller in diameter or length. So this should work. It's close enough. It might wiggle a little bit, but that can be alleviated through some other means. So if you want this to be more pronounced here, you can just go ahead and start changing the parameters. I think for what we're doing, we'll probably, the CO2 canister is 2.6. Yeah, CO2 canister is 2.6 inches in length, so we actually probably do want this number to be a bit bigger. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just making the rocket a little bit taller, and boom, that's basically fixed. Or could I change this? One other parameter you'll have to think of when you're doing this is if your CO2 canister is coming in here like this would probably likely be arced, what you would want it to be to accommodate the CO2 canister. I'm not going to do that here, but if you wanted to, you could do simple things like apply the fillet tool, which is right here. And if we were to say do this, you can change the parameters on it. I don't know what a good number for this is, but it's going to apply a fillet. As you can see, it's kind of what a fillet does. So it'll kind of start creating those arcs for you. But there's another method I have for it that I'll do when we make the fully revolved version of it. So now that we have our outline, we need to make the inside of it. Oh, this probably was this larger too. So we're going to do that by doing offset. So go to this tool, and I believe I have the offset at 0.035 is what I was doing. And you select this line, and see it's on the opposite side. I just want to go and select reverse. I should pull it internally, and boom, we have our line. Now we just need to connect it with the line tool. And same thing up top to get the close sketch that we can actually revolve. And if we really want to check it for accuracy, it's 0.73. We don't need to dimension it because it's already constrained, so it's good to go. And now we go back to features, revolve, and choose our axes, the center line, and stop. Have this shape. We can start by, I'll show you how to do the external fillet, I guess. And so simply we're going to go to the fillet tool, which is somewhere up here, right here. And I'm just going to apply it right here just to get this arc on the outside. You could do it on the inside too. I can't really see what will happen, so I don't really, I guess it doesn't matter. Ta-da! And you'll get a little edge. Instead of it being a straight edge, you'll get that curved edge, which will probably be good for the inside, but I have to sit around and kind of calculate and guess and check it to get an ideal value for our shape. The next thing we're going to do is show you how to apply the fins. So what I will do is, if you go over to this little tree, you can get all these planes where you've been building off of. I use these a lot when I'm trying to basically make external features. This is just my preferred method for it. Basically, I'm going to want to make a plane on this surface so that I can start drawing on it and extrude the fins to it. So to do that, I'm going to choose the front plane. Any of these planes would work. Oh no, not that plane. So the front and right plane would work fine for this. And we're going to go to, I'll have to move this thing out of the way. Go to references and select plane. So it's basically going to reference this plane. And now we want the second reference to be touching this. And it's going to put it wherever. We don't need a set location. We just need it to be parallel, or not parallel. We need it to be tangent to this thing. So this is good to go. And now what we're going to want to do is start sketching on this. So if you just right-click it and do sketch, you'll be able to start drawing on this plane in the middle of nowhere. And spacebar this to get the orientation I want, and start drawing down here. So we're drawing on this interface, but this is effectively stretches all the way down here. You don't have to do this. This is just to show you. I'm going to start with the center line again, and it just depends where you want to put your fins. I personally would probably draw it right here. You could start up here if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. You could start all the way up here, and you won't get anything up here. But you can start anywhere along these lines. I'm going to do it right here. And I'm doing the center line because I'm going to plan to double offset a line. So, like so. I'm just going to click on this. Obviously, you can see it goes one way. If we add the bidirectional, you'll get it to go both ways. You can change the thickness of your fins based on whatever you want. I think this looks fine, so I'm going to go with this. I'm going to connect it to make the closed loop that I talked about earlier. And that's what you need to build a kind of extrude and revolve bodies. As you can see, it becomes a closed region and it gets shaded. And now you can see that we've been drawing on this external plane. What we're going to do next is go to extrude. And you can see it's kind of choosing some arbitrary value. We don't want it to be a value. We want it to go to the face. So I think I typically do up to surface for this. And I'll just click the surface I want it to go to. And it automatically fits it. This is particularly important for curved objects because it's going to be basically differential extrude because it's different here versus the center. Not by much, but enough. This plane's in my way, so I'm just going to right click it and click hide. I just don't like it being in my way. Next thing, we're going to be able to, if we want to cut some sort of angled shape into our fin, just we need to start sketching on it. So right click on it and start sketch. Again, I'm going to click spacebar to get back to the orientation I want. And the shape depends on you. This is just what I plan to draw for this. So I'm simply just going to make another closed shape. In my case, I'm going to make a triangle. And I'll do the same thing from the bottom. If you want, you can ensure they're uniform by dimensioning it. So this is 0.2. So make this 0.2. They don't have to be the same. It's up to your design. You can do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. So something like this. Now we're going to want to cut this out to get those whatever shape you want. So just go to extrude cut, and for these, blind's fine. I usually like to do through all to make sure I get everything. And ta-da, we have one fin. Now there's a simple way to get the remainder. That's simply just by going to linear pattern. I'll click the pattern, go to circular pattern. For this, let's start by clicking on the feature. So we want this object. And now we need a direction. For this, if we're doing a circular object, just basically need any circle, more or less, of where you want to rotate about. So I could click right here, I could click here, I could click the bottom. I don't think I could click here because it's not filled right here. Right, see the circle's not complete. It probably works, but I just know not to, so I just do this, and boom, we have fins. You could do instant spacing, and this will basically let you choose the rotation angle between them, and also let you choose the amount you want. Personally, I don't use this very often. I always do equal spacing because I'm usually doing set things. And this, the amount of fins you can control right here. Let's just say I'm going to do 4. And click OK. Ta-da! You can see that it forgot to do the cut. So we can just go into right click on here and click edit feature. And you can pull down the tree here to get the rest of your cut. Just click on the cut and it'll copy the cut over. And now we have the fins in rocket body. I guess I forgot to mention, if you want to, if you see on the tutorial, you can see the rockets I designed initially have a kind of nozzle in them. To make that nozzle, all you'd have to do is, I'm not going to do it here, but you basically have to go into the sketch and draw in something like this. And when you do the offset, which the offset is making like another one of these lines, it'll basically give you something like this, which will be another closed loop, and it'll revolve that as well. But that's up to you to design. So the next thing I'll be doing is the assembly, so we know everything fits.